Hello, kind people. This is Dmitry, and welcome to my weekly listener recap. I am extremely excited about this one. I have just finished solving it, and as you will see, there is still some unfinished work there to be done, and some of it, hopefully, I will do on camera. But first, I want to say a few words about why I was excited even, before solving it. For some reason, this week, a bunch of fellow solvers that I know were firmly expecting a numerical in the listener. There are about 3 or 4 of them each year, I think 3, and there are these particular slots for them, and somehow we thought that this week a numerical was due. And I'm not even sure I'm going to recap the numericals. I'm never too excited about them, with the exceptions where the numerical puzzle is much more than just a numerical puzzle. And there was one by Botox in the Magpie in 2022, which is an absolute gem of a puzzle, and nearly one puzzle of the year came second that year. And so, those type of numericals I will recap, but the standard ones that you get from the familiar list of setters, I'm not too enthusiastic about. But instead of the numerical, we got this today, and this is by Cagey. And Cagey is by far one of my definitely in my top 3 or top 5 setters, probably in the top 3. I think if I am to name top 3 setters of last few years, I would probably go Shark, Twin, and Cagey, in no particular order. And a little bit of a personal story connected with Cagey is that I think it is very important when you start any new venture that you have a good guide, a good introduction to that, and that could give you an extra confidence boost, and also just verify, confirm that you're doing the right thing by going into this new venture. So when I started doing the listener, this guide it so happened that I started, and I mentioned it several times, with a puzzle by a setter called Nud, John Hood, and so I'm sort of eternally grateful to John for opening this window for me. And Cagey played the same role for the Magpie. And I want to show this very first puzzle. So when I started doing the Magpie, it was like a year later after I started doing the listener. And in January 2022, I heard these stories. I had heard these stories that the Magpie, it's a bit like the listener, but it's even harder, and the puzzles there are completely crazy. And so I was not even sure whether I would be able to do them or not. So then the first issue came out. So in the Magpie you have grades, and so they had one, I think, degrader, and that degrader was by Cagey. And this is what it looked like in sort of semi-solved state, because I spent days and days on it, and it was called Hide and Seek, and as you can see, it didn't say that it was by Cagey. We actually had to find that out. So let me just briefly show you that one. So clues are in conventional order. Bars which would display 180-degree symmetry must not be added. Clashes between across and down clues occur in 12 pairs of adjacent cells. Some clues contain extra words. These give 2 instructions, which must be clearly executed in the final grid. One clue, unrelated to its grid entry, is actually the final instruction. So somehow Cagey managed even to hide the actual final instruction inside the clue, and actually did it in such a way that it wasn't obvious what it's going to be. In particular, I think this is one of the big red herrings here, right? There was a clue which said at the end of solving, clear corners, rows, and boundaries here, and that was not the final instruction. So that was actually the genuine clue which gave the answer grid lines. And as you can see, so this was very hard because there were these clashes in the grid, and these clashes were coming in this pairs. And so what you eventually had to do is you had to block out the clashes. And I have no clue what this red highlighting is one of those dead ends I was hitting while solving this, and there were many of them. But I think eventually I realized that what I had to do was I had to I'm not even sure like this is the correct set of extra words, but link bottom left corners of B cells is probably correct. So there are, as you can see, there are some cells with B's here, and these bottom left corners of those are linked by these lines. So that I think is a correct part of the end game. I mean, it's been more than 3 years now. And so then you had to block out clashes, I think. And then you had to identify this clue with the final instruction. And the clue with the final instruction was a clue for the entry red herring, very appropriately. So there was an actual red herring, more than one red herring here, but one was actually in the grid. And the clue for that red herring was obliquely examined from the left. And so once you actually block out the clashes like this, and you connect those B cells with the lines as required, if you now sort of print this and you look at it from the sides, from the left, you can see that what you get is this very distorted letters which spell out Cagey. And so then you fill the byline. I think this puzzle did not get into the top 5 of the year, which is completely unexplainable for me. I mean, it's still 3 years later, it's among my very, very top favorite puzzles of the Magpie. And so the only explanation I have is that this is a January edition, and I imagine the puzzles that appear later in the year, they have more chances to get to the top. Also, I believe that was the year when they had the last 2 editions were celebrating 20th anniversary of the Magpie, and so they were sort of star-studded editions with all of the puzzles were set by the setters who had won puzzles of the year in the past, and so there were plenty of top quality puzzles that year. But this is still among my favorites. So I was extremely excited when I saw that Cagey is going to provide this Wix listener. So let's come back to it. The grid looks like this. Unfortunately, there is like a little typo here, as it turns out. It doesn't really affect your solve, but because you quickly realize that this thing should not be here. I mean, there is no entry that this corresponds to. So this 19 is just a misprint. So as you can see, there's a lot of that's happening here. There are these daggers, and I don't know what's the correct name for that. I should know a word, but I don't. So yeah, asterisks and circles. And so the preamble goes like this. In a cross clues given in an order that may be discerned, the definitions have been affected in accordance with the thematic work. Their answers must be entered in alphabetical order without gaps to fill the grid row by row. Answers to down clues must be entered jumbled. The wordplay leads to the entered form. Letters in cell marked with this and that symbols form the surnames of the work's 2 creators. Circled cells contain the letters of its title, which must be written below the grid. So you start looking at these clues, and then you realize that for the crosses, you don't really know much. You don't even have the enumeration, and that is a problem, as every time I solve a puzzle when there is no enumeration, I realize how much knowing the length of the answer helps. So I started with the downs, and and at first this is almost impossible, right? So the crosses that entered normally, you have no clue how to approach them, because none of that is easy, and you don't even know where to put them, right? There's no numbers associated with them. Like, for example, here, stretch of broader avenue, that sounds like road, and avenue seems to be a definition for road. So you don't really know what's going on, because that definition seems to be perfectly normal. So you think maybe the thematic work affects somehow some definitions and then keeps some others. So you don't really know yet. And then you start solving the downs. And I think I did put some numbers here. Yeah, so these are the downs in the order that I got them. So first was this. I realized that there's no way Václav Nijinsky is there for, anything other than its letters. And VNI in particular could be abbreviated to Vin. Vin is wine, so perhaps Beaujolais, so this is the definition. And then you get a jumble, so you can put VNI in the grid. Note that you don't... So Cagey is trying to be fair here, so the wordplay actually leads to the answer, and with some exceptions, it is uniquely defined. So you don't have just a wordplay which says like anagram this, because that doesn't give you any information about how to actually enter it. But instead, the only thing is maybe here, confront Algerian ruler smuggling francs. So francs could be abbreviated to F. Algerian ruler is day, and defy is to confront. But the wordplay allows you both the original form defy and then this one. And I thought this is more likely because that actually is a non-trivial jumble. And whether you kind of entering things normally could be considered a jumble, I wasn't too sure, but I put both of them here for the time being. So here is another one. This is actually wrong. I think this is the correct one. This is a typo I made when first solving. Congestion no longer held up Greek character in posh car. So posh car, so because it's only 4 letters, Greek characters could only be at least 2 letter long. So posh car has to be 2 letters because it has to actually contain something. So it can't be just 1 letter. Posh could be U, but then car would have to be 1 letter, and I don't know any 1-letter cars. So posh car I know is Rolls-Royce, so that's RR. And then we need to find a 2-letter Greek character that fits. So there's a number of them, right? Nu, mu, pi, psi. But eventually the one which works is this. So this is the entered form, and mer is some old word for some kind of congestion. I can't even remember what exactly. Then I got this one. Cheer, I quite like that this clue. Cheer new heads of West Glamorgan Council when the old ones are ousted. So Cagey is from Scotland, and so the surface reading, I guess, is something that is dear to him. So I just realized I still don't know how to solve one of these down clues. I hope we will get at least to that by the end of this video. So so when you take West Glamorgan Council and get rid of these heads, so the first letters of the word, the new heads spell ELO. So ELO is what you need to enter, but the definition is cheer, so ole is cheer. And so on. And that allows you to enter some of these things. In particular, okay, let's have a look at 1 down and 4 down. Let's actually have a look at both of those down. So, because those have slightly trickier wordplay. Peer ejects ex-pupil after women's supporter raised brawl. So women's supporter is bra, and you raise it, so you get ARB. Peer is a noble, and old pupil is OB for old boy. And so and you eject OB from Nobo, and you get this word. And by now I don't even remember what is this an anagram for. Let me find it out. Branlo. So that is the word which means an old French dance or dance tune, which could also be spelled as brawl. So and maybe let's have a look at this one. So block citizens banned with protection removed repeatedly. CB is an abbreviation in Chambers actually for citizens banned, which you almost never see in cryptics, because obviously in normal words CB is not a combination of letters that you see at all, I think. Well, off the top of my head, I can't come up with a single word with it. But because this is a jumble, that works. And then protection removed repeatedly, you remove the outer layers of the word working, and you end up with CBRKI, which is an anagram of brick. And so CBRKI is what you put in the grid. So what I'm trying to show here is that this is probably one of the hardest sort of types of clues, but Cagey makes them wonderfully fair, that they're not actually that hard. And so, for example, here's another one: suitable for growing muscle before lifting concrete. So you sort of think, okay, if it's suitable for something, it might end with able. And so you know that there is a muscle that is AB. And so you think AB is probably a muscle. And then you need a four-letter word for concrete, and you need to have L and E in it. And you think Rio, and you reverse it, and you get this entry, and arable. Arable is suitable for growing. So with all of that, you get to something that looks like this. And although I think I did solve a few more of the clues before actually getting to the answer, we could have sort of, with a little bit of a lucky Googling and lucky guesses, the answer was Googleable from about this stage. And what I thought at the time, I mean, I know that I need to enter crosses in in alphabetical order. And so what I was thinking at the time is that I have something that, so that could be an acorn, right? And that would leave me another word starting with A here. I didn't quite get that word, but I knew it would be A blank blank ER. Adler could work, or adder could work, or something else could work. And then here there could be a lot of choices. There could be like blurb or something else. And then at some point I realized bluebell could work as well. Oh, and it didn't help that I did make this typo here and I put RUNR instead of RUMR. Probably I might have gotten it easier. And then at some point, and then I think I also solved this, which helped a lot. So let's solve this actually. 8 down is Yankees dismissed Canadian go. And canned is in North American slang for dismissed. Canadian is C and D. And then Ina is a girl's name. And so you get C and D here. So C and D, Ina. And that then here is very likely to be conquer. Oh, what did I do wrong here? C. What did I do wrong here? Okay. This. Oh. Oh, sorry. Is it CDN, which is Canadian? Maybe it is CDN that is Canadian. Let's find out. Yeah. Yeah, CDN is Canadian, sorry. So you get CDN here. And then Ina. And so then dandelion becomes a possibility here. Sorry. So yeah. Now, with that, I think if so here I got a little bit distracted by a thought that actually had some tangential connections to the answer, but was not the theme. So I realized that this could be Bluebell, this could be Acorn, and this could be. And unfortunately, even though the Adovanchiki is a very common flower in this country, I'm not sure I know how to pronounce it properly. Is it dandelion? Dandelion? Sorry. Ignorant, non-native speaker. I will look it up. Because I think my 6-year-old goes both ways. But that's because I teach him. So I will look it up. Sorry for that. But all those three are actually characters from Watership Down. And Watership Down is a wonderful kids book that, and a TV, the film that, an animated film that got a lot of British kids of the 70s and 80s traumatized. But they had these characters there. So there were rabbits, I think, called Acorn, Bluebell, and Dandelion. So my first Googling sort of went that way. But then eventually, and I think I also was helped that I did get some of these entries, and so I got a lot of these words in the... And I think, I also got this, which was a wonderful clue. Let me show you that one. So what I was trying to say here is that I got a number of letters in the circles, and I was able to have a good guess at the title. So let's have a look at this one. Island Lane disappearing north. Who gave us a lift? Gives a nice picture of, driving away on some street called Island Lane and with someone who gave us a lift. But what you have to get here is lane with disappearing north gives you LAE. And then a person who gave us a lift, actually the inventor of a lift, is this chap whose name you might see in many lifts. And that is an anagram of isolate. And to isolate is to island, though they both have this, you could use them as verbs. So this lae otis then becomes an entry here, and then this could give you Bramble if you, unlike me, put the correct letter here. And maybe from that you could Google the answer. So it turns out that several years ago, from Oxford Junior, so there was a dictionary aimed at kids called Oxford Junior Dictionary, and they were including the words there somehow based on the young generation actually using them. They had some idea of calculating, maybe based on internet traffic or whatever, like which words were actually used by young people. And at some point they apparently removed a lot of nature-related words from this Oxford Junior Dictionary, like kingfisher and bluebell and bramble and acorn. And that provoked two writers, one of whom is Robert Macfarlane, and the other is... sorry, I should have memorized that, and the other is Jackie Morris. So Robert Macfarlane and Jackie Morris, and the reason I remembered Macfarlane and not Jackie Morris is because Macfarlane's name was in this asterisk cells, and so I got much more of those, and I was actually playing with the anagramming those, and Macfarlane was one of the names I tried, but I couldn't Google the answer at the time. So they thought that was a shame that, some words connected with nature disappeared. And so they wrote this wonderful book called The Lost Words. And the book is stunningly beautiful. Go and find it. There is a video on YouTube of someone actually reading it by opening each page. And so I encourage you to go and watch that video, but even better than go and buy the book, which is what I'm intending to do. And in that book, yeah, so there are these beautiful illustrations and some acrostic poems for each of the lost words. And so all those words, I actually were going to write them in the same order as they are in the book, so without missing any single one of them. So this indeed becomes Adder. And from this moment on, the puzzle, you don't need to solve any more clues. You can just feel it. But you totally should solve clues, and I'll tell you why in a second. So this becomes Fern. And I should have brought my paper with me. Let me try and reconstruct it. This is Ivy. This is Kingfisher. So a quick note here before I actually feel this. So when I realized that this could be acorn, I looked at one across, and I realized that this could actually be acorn if we omit the definition. Start to autograph A. My is core. N is name. And that's all I thought about it. I thought, okay, well, for some definitions, they just disappear because of this thematic thing. And then I got also, which was this, which was, for me, I thought this could be Ivy. Vixen initially, following 1, and then Y for unknown. And as you'll see in a second, this is only half of the story. So this is Kingfisher. What is left before that? There was is there heron somewhere? Oh yeah, so there is Heather. Then I think there is heron. Then there is Ivy. Then there is Kingfisher. And then I don't know. I totally should bring... maybe I should pause the video and maybe I should bring my solution. 1 second. Let me do that. Okay, here is my solution. So the rest of it goes as follows. Where did we stop? So this is lark. This is magpie. This is newt. This is otter. The above mentioned 6-year-old is an otters class this year. This is raven. Then you get starling. Then you get weasel. Then you get willow. And then you get wren. And the title is The Lost Words. And so, in theory, and you get why the title is robbed, right? And in theory, you could stop there, you could fill in your name and address and postcode and phone, and you can send it out. And that would be it. And none of the cross clues you could more or less leave them untouched. But if you are doing so, you're actually robbing yourself, as the title suggests. Because I think the cross clues are the work of the genius, and this is what makes this puzzle top 3 of the year so far, for sure. So what happens here is Cagey is trying to show us what the confusion that is going to happen if you remove this definition. So you might realize that suddenly you need to get a raven from somewhere, and Stretch of Broader Avenue gives you raven. So each of these clues works in 2 different ways. If you think of it as just a wordplay, it leads to 1 word. And then if you think of this as a full clue with a wordplay and the definition part, it gives you something completely different. So in which case, that would give you road. And so the ordering of these clues is actually by these alternative wrong answers. So for example here, start to autograph my name could give you Amy. Start to autograph and then literally my, and Amy is a name. I don't know yet, and this is what I'm going to say. I'm going to spend the rest of the weekend actually trying to solve them all and admire Cagey's genius. So I haven't, for example, got this yet. I now know how this is Bramble, and Brown has to be BR, and then it's an anagram of Melba, and that's how you get the correct answer. I don't really know yet what the wrong one is. Here, I suspect the wrong one is Pearl as a cover. Maybe that's wrong because there's plenty of ways how this could work. But I thought fruit could be pear, and hint of lycopene or lysopene, whatever it is L. And as we know, Pearl is not in among the lost words in the book, so that's wrong. And I don't know what the correct one is. Parent, doctor, and want to finish them, curate. So this is the one of those that I solved wrong, I think. So I thought pi is a parent, doctor is dr. One to finish with is the last letter of E, and you get padre, and curate could be an example of padre. And I don't really know which one of the actual words this corresponds to. Similarly, partner self-hailing out with Penelope's side. I thought that is pals in the wrong version, because you have so pals are partners, and you have an anagram of Sal with one side of Penelope. Yeah, but now I need to sort of resolve that all. Resolve this again. So this is absolutely stunning. The other clue I wanted to have a look at, and I realized I didn't yet. I was just extremely excited to sort of immediately record this. Is this 12 down? ILER. How does that work, and what is it? So ILER. What is it? This is an anagram of ILER. Liberating regular characters uprising. Oh, okay, I see. So it's a bug. I'm not sure which bug it is. Is it I don't yet know what. I guess it's an anagram of Ryle. Okay. For some reason, I was obsessed with taking every third letter or every even letter or something, but actually you need to get rid of the regular characters. So you get rid of this characters in Kremlin, and then you reverse it, and you get ILER, and that's so the answer is Ryle, but the entry is ILER. Okay, now I know how that works. So this is the sort of things I'm going to spend my time on for the rest of the weekend. But I wanted to record this basically as soon as I finished, because many thanks to Cagey, wonder of a puzzle, and an absolutely stunning year of the listener continues. I mean, we do need a breather. I hope that next week is that, well, not that I hope for, but I wouldn't mind having a boring numerical, and in which case I will probably not record a video next week and pause. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this puzzle as well, I hope you try to solve it before watching this. Thank you. Bye.